Have you ever dreamed of being J.K. Rowling? Or do you love reading novels and have thought about writing your own short story, but were unsure how to start the whole process? In this tutorial, we'll take you through easy steps for writing and thinking creatively, either from your own experiences or on a subject that's completely new to you. With a little patience, everyone can do this. You will also hear from two leading authors who we asked for their thoughts, best-selling novelist Joanna Trollope and children's author and illustrator Dawn Cruttenden. If you feel a bit daunted getting started, don't! Writing, even the shortest of stories, is creative, fun, and once you've finished your piece, you deserve to feel a huge sense of achievement. So, let's get started with a few tips on beginning your creative journey. We've deconstructed the process down into a few simple steps for you to follow. Step 1. Think about the subject you want to write about and sketch out some rough notes. Subject matter, names, places, dates, people, feelings. It doesn't have to be perfect. A single moment or thought can build an amazing short story that has a strong beginning, middle, and end, so it's quality until the last word. Also, try and read out a few short stories to get an idea of the format. Maybe try reading a newspaper or a news site for inspiration as well. Think about authors you admire and their own style. Can you use their way of writing for your short story that a reader would find interesting? But the question people always ask is, how do you get into the right headspace to start to write? That can be hard, even for the most experienced authors. And if you can't concentrate to start with, that's okay, don't give up. You might find you sit for ages procrastinating, trying to think of anything that you could write, and that's perfectly normal. But then you could suddenly get a burst of energy when the inspiration strikes and get loads done in a very short space of time. The second thing to do is to find the quietest spot you can with the fewest distractions. Earplugs can help. If you're writing in longhand with a pen, set up your page with a margin on the left to make notes and corrections. If you're using a computer, try and keep the web browser closed to focus on your creativity. Step 3. Consider what voice you want to write in. Your story might be about yourself in the first person, or directly in your voice from your point of view. For example, I visited or I felt. Or you could take a step back and write in the third person, so describing an event, person, or subject from the outside, or from a distance. If you're writing about a character at the centre of your story who is not yourself, try and put yourself in their shoes. Ask questions like, when was the last time they laughed and cried? Or even, what did they eat for lunch? These details might not be included in your story, but they will help add depth to your writing. Don't be constrained by what you think you know. Feel free to experiment with subjects or add some glamour and excitement for the reader. Step 4. Think about pace and size of your sentences. These keep the reader interested. Vary the size of your sentences. Mix in spoken quotes. Avoid cheesy cliches or very common phrases. Think about the length of your story. A few hundred words is great, but you can write way less if that suits you better. Step 5. Structure. Ideally, your first sentence will pull the reader in, so they want to read until the very end. So think about a gripping introduction, but don't worry if you can't think of one straight away. You can always come back to it. Remember that every great book starts with a single sentence. You can do this. Step 6. Detail. Try to get as much descriptive detail into your sentences as possible, while keeping words to a minimum. Add some facts, feelings, and figures. Also try writing different scenes in different ways to see which ones work best for you. For example, Fatima walked to the park could be, Fatima felt the sunshine on her face as she walked briskly the 10 minutes to the park about the size of a football pitch, where two toddlers squealed with delight as they crashed up and down on a seesaw. Fatima looked forward to her daily dose of exercise to improve her circulation, because... Can you think of reasons why? Does she have a health thing? See how you can get inside Fatima's head, inside her thinking. Step 7. When you think you've finished the article, read, and read again. Then edit, edit. Be tough on your words, so when you have the finished story, you are satisfied with the final version. Don't give up. Keep coming back to your story to polish and improve it. If you feel confident, consider showing it with a friend to help you edit. It can be scary to send someone your writing, but constructive criticism helps your style improve. Now, let's hear from Joanna and Dawn about how they write.
I don't have an English degree, and I think that's actually stood me in really good stead as a writer, because I think you can very easily get caught up in writing in a way that you think is correct. I write as if I'm talking to someone. So I don't write thinking of the sentence structure. I don't write thinking, if I use the correct punctuation, is that a posh enough word? Because it almost feels insincere to me. And I think just writing your feelings down is just more authentic. And so you don't have to have that background in an education in writing. You just be honest on the page. And I think people appreciate that and they feel it when they're reading it. If you're writing a story for children, just use your normal voice, because that child that was you is still there. It's the same child as the adult. And with books, regarding pictures versus words, I mean, children's books can be pictures or words. It doesn't have to be both. With illustrations, maybe you have some ideas and they can be simple stick figures or simple little line drawings to illustrate what it is you're thinking about. I grew up in Northern Ireland. There were bombs going off and people getting killed left, right and centre. So, art and literature was something that kids just lose themselves in. So maybe that's why I really had a thing for books where you go into another world. If someone's going to take the time to read something you've written, then it has to have some effect on them. They have to feel like it's been worth their 10 minutes of time. Something has to be left with them. People think writing a children's book must be a doddle because it's short, but actually that makes it probably more difficult because you have to condense what you're trying to say. I have an idea and it kind of brews for a while. It's almost like a pregnancy. The idea is growing in your mind and it's not ready to come out yet, because if it comes out too early, it's not ready, it's not strong enough. Once it's ready, there it is, and you can't stop it from getting onto the page. And then afterwards, you'll write it, you think that's it, and you walk away, but actually you need to keep going back to it and keep going back to it and tweaking it and cutting bits. It's almost like, boiling down something into a sauce instead of a stock. If you keep taking bits away, but keep the core idea there in as few words as you can.
The kind of novels I write, I am making a connection with human beings. I'm making a link. I'm communicating with the readers. I'm not writing for myself. I'm certainly not writing for reviews or admiration. I'm writing exactly for other people. I still write longhand, so I write in A4 pads, and I write on the right-hand side of the page, but I leave the left-hand side completely blank. Every day, to sink myself back down into the story, or the characters, or both, I will reread what I wrote the day before, or several days before, and then I will, nearly always nowadays, I will alter it on the right-hand side, but mostly these days I take stuff out. Less is more. I need to write fairly early, but I'm the age I am, so, and I think younger I could have written at any time of day, and nowadays I shouldn't think that my creative juices are flowing for more than 5 or 6 hours. I think we're interpreters and translators. We're really saying to people, or to the readers, we're saying, this is how life is, and this is a mirror held up to you. I want to communicate to other people that, they're not alone in feeling this. I want them to sort of start thinking about it. Sometimes people can only think on paper. They can only really develop their thoughts and see where they've got to in life. For me, it's a question of reality, of echoing reality. So I want people to be as close to real life as I possibly can. You've got to vary the pace of writing quite a bit. So a long descriptive passage has to be followed by a conversation and a joke and something light. I think the value of words in describing how they're feeling, they are more valuable, they are more satisfying. That they feed you in a more lasting way than anything else, in the way that nothing else in your life has ever done before. You know, they give you a sense of self. I see why poetry has been so vastly successful during this crisis, because it's the most intimate form of writing.
Step 8. Enjoy it. Creative writing should be something that gives you a sense of satisfaction. We also wanted to say, if you don't feel comfortable writing your ideas as a story, try a poem and record that, or take some photos around a specific subject, and then write captions on the pictures detailing why they're important to you, or even write and record a song about your thoughts on a specific concept. Just try to get creative. Do it in your own way. And as Dawn said, you don't need an English degree.